young and full of life and energy.
And also a place that people are now finally being allowed to be proud of. You know, we were always allowed to be, you weren't really allowed to voice it because there was a backdrop of what was happening, and now we are able to be a bit of a template for the rest of the world in the north of Ireland about conflict resolution and about how things...
So look at George Mitchell out in the Middle East now,
Absolutely,
you know, taking a bit of what he's learned there over with him. What about the, you know, even going to the housing estates, was it a warm reception for you wherever you went?
Terrific.
Was it?
One day in particular, I remember in Lurgan, we were shooting a scene, a tiny little snippet of a scene, just me walking, as a Protestant, walking into this Catholic estate. And there were about easily 400 residents of the estate, all standing in Celtic shirts, like it. Men, women and children, and they were so sweet and so respectful of what we were doing, you know? And then we finished, there was a rap, and everybody burst into applause.
But I think that's also because they embrace it, you know, they embrace the newfound sense of optimism and peace, and also they're proud in a way of things coming over, and you know, and are respectful of it, you know.
Very respectful.
And you're in New York now, based in New York, aren't you? So
yeah.
that's another world too. Well, Belfast is whatever, but Northern Ireland, generally speaking. You happy there now?
I've been there for, God, 16, 17 years now. I love it.
And how old are the boys, your sons?
12 and 13.
And are they Irish, or are they New York, are they American?
Oh,
they
have like 4 different passports
now.
Yeah.
So they just, which one do you want, is it? Like
they're certainly Irish.
Would you have ever considered the move that Liam has made to the States? Would that be something that has played in your mind at some point?
Well, I think for a long time, you know, I garnered a level of jammy success, and with success comes more and more work, and I was very happy with the work I've done. But I think I was also a wee bit reluctant to go. I was maybe a wee bit scared of it in a way, and
intimidating.
Not necessarily that. Just it's a whole big thing, you know. But I would certainly like to go and work now, because I've spoken to Liam a lot about it, and Liam says, you know, you should maybe give it a go. And
would you consider it now?
I would. I just
think
think about it.
Oh yeah, I should. Absolutely. I would have sent him out years ago, but if I was his agent.
You know, but I've liked, you know, I've enjoyed what I've done at home. You know, I mean, it's I go where the good scripts are. I mean, I think Liam and I share that. We share a lot of things, but we follow the good writing.
What about, you know, if I talk to you about the big characters who play? I was watching you in Michael Collins during the week on DVD, and then, of course, Oscar Schindler's unforgettable role. And, you know, there's talk about Lincoln. We'll talk about that in a second, Abraham Lincoln. But, you know, living in the shadow of one of the big men in this country's history, this island's history, I should say, maybe, Ian Paisley, would he have had any bearing on your life/career at any point?
Oh, he did. I mean, he's kind of... one of the reasons why I'm an actor, I crept into his gospel hall a couple of times when I was 15 or 16, and to hear him preach.
Did you?
And he was quite awe-inspiring and pure performance.
In what sense awe-inspiring?
Just his, and funnily enough, I had cut off the whole political connotation, but he was just such a magnificent presence, and quoting strict scripture and holding his Bible and giving it the full. It was like, I thought, terrific. I wanted to applaud, you know.
But also, it's funny enough, at the end of Corley, at the bottom of where you lived in Ballymena, the housing executive, my mother worked there for years, and you know, I think it's often been quoted about, but there was that extraordinary odd relationship, dichotomy to Paisley, where you know, he used to go into the housing executive, and he was a constituent MP. He would make sure the house is for all, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, and of course his place in history is being kind of reassessed with every day he motors on, I suppose. Spielberg and yourself, there's a lot of talk about you playing Lincoln, another tall, big man, historically and physically.
That's Stephen.
Oh, so Stephen to you, because I have to call him Mr. Spielberg, as you'll appreciate. There's a lot of talk. Is that going to happen, Liam?
It's in the works.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to that?
I am. He asked me 4 years ago he says, I want to send you something, and I'm not sending it to your agent, I just want you to look at it. And I said, what is it? He says, I'll give you a clue. He lived. So, here we go, another historical character.
Yeah.
And then, of course, did he handpick you for Schindler?
Yes.
And his mother-in-law.
His mother-in-law, did you schmooze her?
Kind of. It's.
Because there was talk of Kevin Costner at that stage.
How long have we got?
Give us the quick version.
Well, I was doing a play in New York. I had done a screen test for him, and I was doing this Eugene O'Neill play called Anna Christie, and he came with his wife and his mother-in-law, and when they came backstage afterwards, his mother-in-law was quite emotional, and I said, "Come here, you," and I gave her a big hug, and Stephen's wife apparently said to him in the car home, "That's just what Schindler would have done." So,
wow.
I got.
So never underestimate the power of the mother-in-law, I think, is the key there.
I'm working with Davy Spielberg. He's the plasterer from Coleraine. We're doing a house.
Ah, poor James. Oh, come on. Give him a hug. Give him a hug. So what are you doing next, anyway?
I'm going to do this film called Outcast in Edinburgh and Galway, written by a guy called Colin McCarthy and his brother. Colin directed the last 2 series of Murphy's Law. He lives in Dublin. He's a Scottish guy, and it's I don't really understand the script, but it's good, I think. But it's like a Celtic horror story.
Yes, yes. Sounds good. I like it already.
No, it's class. It's good.
Jekyll and Hyde and everything else like that. By the way, Taken is playing a blinder in the States at the moment here, and I know Batman Begins and Star Wars, all these kind of big movies. But I think that, you know, looking back at your body of work, I think you probably never will achieve the heady heights of the one performance that struck me as a viewer, and I think our audience will appreciate this. This is Liam Neeson in acting gold. Please pay your respects.
Counting in the rain, scene one, take one. Count!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I love this show business.
9, 10, 11, 12.
You're not dancing.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
What cut?
The count.
I suppose the question is, how do you prepare for a role like that?
Learn to count.
Okay, I know you're heading off because you've got
Can I tell you something really funny about that?
Yes, please do.
The guy, I forget his name, a very sweet guy who plays Elmo. And my kid at the time Michael was 2. And he came on after the show, and Elmo came up, and it was the guy standing with the puppet. And he'd be talking as Elmo, but you never once looked at him.
No, of course.
You were always engaged with Elmo. Which is very, very interesting.
Were you very engaged with Elmo? I mean, did you find yourself having an intense conversation with him?
I did, absolutely I did. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It was magical.
Was it surreal?
No.
Mildly.
It's all right.
Sesame Street, someday, Jimmy. You know, someday you'll be there. I mean,
I'm aiming for it.
it's a matter of time. You're heading off to LA. You're presenting an Oscar tomorrow night, aren't you?
I am.
Do you know what category are you?
Best foreign language film with that little ugly girl,
Frida.
Frida Pinto from Slumdog
The
Millionaire.
most beautiful girl on the planet at the moment. That one. That'll be tough
sorry.
for you, Liam. Good luck with that. Yeah, well, listen, the film, it's called 5 Minutes of Heaven. It's an extraordinary film. I think it's one of the great Irish films of recent times, and I
Thank
think
you.
that you both play a blinder, and it's a real pleasure to see you doing so well in it. And did you want to say something?
No, it was a pleasure to be in it. You know,
Really
I think
good.
we both say, you know, it's got all sorts of different elements to the film, but it was a pleasure being in it. We had a good time.
I think people will enjoy it for various different reasons. James Nesbit and Liam Neeson, thank you so much for being here tonight.
That's right.